Hey guys, it's Plutonium here and welcome to another Minecraft video. Piston doors keep getting bigger and bigger. And in my previous redstone tutorial, I actually shown you how to make a 3x3 piston door, which is right here in front of me. This is my original design of the 3x3 piston door. So why not just let's keep moving along and let's make a 4x4 piston door. This is my original design and it is quite compact. I would say it's just 3 wide and yeah, it's just my first ever time building a piston door. I mean a 4x4 piston door, and this is quite compact and yeah. Anyway, if you want to actually watch the video that I actually made on the tutorial of the 3x3 piston door. There's a link on the top right corner of the screen right now, and yeah, so let's move on, and let's talk about this piston door. This design is quite compact. I've already shown you, and there's one drawback to this machine, is that this is not exactly quite survival friendly because this design is really observer heavy. Look at the number of observers all around this machine. It looks like a big box made of observers. Yeah, I actually love making use of observers in my those redstone contraptions. So this one is a really good example of a use of observers, which is absolutely a huge number of observers. But this design is quite fast for a 4x4 piston door. If I press the lever, that door closes, and if I press it again, the door will open, and that is quite quick for a 4x4 piston door. I would say this is not really the quickest, but I would say for my from my perspective, I think it's quite quick. And making such a piston door, I think I should be quite proud of myself because the compactness of this door as well. I've seen lots of videos on YouTube from other YouTubers, and they have also made different kinds of designs, which might be even more compact than mine. But I would say that this one is one of the most compact, and this is the one which I built on my very first try. So I should be really proud of myself, ain't I? So yeah, let's head on with the tutorial. So for this build you will need a 10 by 3 area which is right behind me, and I've already warned you that this redstone contraption over there is not survival friendly. But even if you still want to make it in survival for some really weird reason, then here's the list of the exact number of materials that you would need to make the door. So that's 33 observers. Oh, that's a lot of observers. 26 sticky pistons. Uh, 9 redstone repeaters, 9 redstone dust, 1 lever, 13 slime blocks, 2 redstone blocks, 4 droppers, 29 blocks for the redstone to go on, and any number of blocks for your decoration. So let's begin with the tutorial. Now to actually start building the door, you need to have this kind of a frame, which is a 6 by 6 square with the corners removed, and this should be made out of your decoration blocks. So these are actually your door blocks, and these door blocks should be actually offset 5 blocks from the ground. Like the gap between the floor and this door should be 4 blocks, or at least 4 blocks. So if we move these temporary blocks here, that's your door frame. That's high up there in the sky. You might even want to make it level with the ground. You just need to create a hole which is 5 blocks deep. So you need to make sure about that. This should be in the middle of your construction zone, so exactly over the middle line. Now let's begin with placing the pistons. What you need to do is you need to go underneath one of the center blocks, and you need to go 2 blocks up. These are temporary blocks. Then you need to place 2 sticky pistons facing upwards like that. Remove these 2 blocks. Now you need to place 2 more next to these. So these are your bottom pistons. Now for some of the corner blocks, this is another piston. Another piston goes over there, which is facing towards these pistons, and another piston facing towards these pistons. On the side, you need to place 2 temporary blocks coming out like this. Remove the middle block. Then you need to place a sticky piston and sticky pistons stacked in 4. On the other side, you do the same thing. So you need to place 2 temporary blocks coming out like this. Remove the middle one. you need to place a sticky piston there, remove that block behind, and you can just place 3 more pistons on the top. Next you need to place another piston on this corner and another sticky piston. Yeah, these are all sticky pistons on this corner. For the top blocks, you need to place three blocks going up like this, remove the middle 2. Then you need to place a sticky piston facing downwards into these blocks, or actually 2 sticky pistons facing downwards onto these blocks. Remove that block, and now you can place 2 more on the next to them. So this is the framework of your pistons. This is how the pistons are going to be set, and these are going to be pushing your door blocks into their spaces. This design is pretty symmetrical. So to actually make this door, to actually start with making the door, I'll be making one side and then we'll be repeating this on the other side. So let's begin with placing 2 blocks which are in line with the bottom pistons, or actually even the top pistons, but towards the front. Now you need to place 2 redstone dust on these blocks. Going up from these blocks, you need to place an observer like this, facing up. It says dot facing upwards. You need to place a block right there, which is going to power that piston. Next to this observer, you're going to place another observer with the dot going towards that direction. Another one going towards that direction. Now you need to make an observer facing up into this, towards this piston, and a block over the dot. So that observer is now going to power that piston. Coming towards the back, on the back of this observer, you need to place another observer which is facing into that observer and its dot going in that direction. From this observer, you are going to take another observer coming into this piston. So this is actually your pushing mechanism for the blocks inside. Now what you will do is now you place a sticky piston on the dot of this observer like this. So that is, I'm going to be telling this use later. On the top of this observer, you would want to place, on the side of this block, you would like to place a dropper like this. Then make an observer going up, so you need to crouch while in midair, and you need to place an observer going upwards like that, and a block on its dot. So this observer is actually going to power both of these pistons, making them get rid of their blocks which will go into the door. So this piston will be powered by the observer and this one through quasi connectivity, as you might know. So moving along, we need to place a few droppers on the back side of these pistons. So these are the droppers. Now you need to crouch, or actually go down. You need to place a temporary block like this. You need to place 2 more temporary blocks like this. Sorry, these are not your temporary blocks. These are the redstone, the blocks where your redstone is going to be going. There's going to be 2 repeaters, with this repeater being on 4 tick delay. Now what you are going to do is now you need to place a temporary block like that and an observer facing with the dot facing towards these repeaters. Now this block should not be on the face of the piston. It should be 1 block away towards the top. Now if you work on the top pistons, what we need to do is we need to place an observer going downwards from this like that. We need to place a block below this observer, so that's going to power that piston. Now you need to take another observer coming out from this and another one. Now similarly, like that bottom section of the mechanism, you need to place another observer going downwards this time towards that piston and a block covering its dot. From this observer towards the back, we are going to take another observer going into that direction and another observer which is going to this piston. So we have the other pushing mechanism on the top as well. Now what you need to do is you need to place a block on the side of this piston. This observer is going to be giving your output into a redstone dot which is going to be placed on top of this block. This block is going to power both of these pistons, causing them to spit out their blocks and them going into the door. So this redstone dot is going to power this piston through normal powering and this one through quasi connectivity. Now on the top part of this door, next to this piston, we are going to place another sticky piston going backwards. Now we are going to be placing an observer which is again 1 block off like this. We need to remove this block here. On this observer, you need to place a block like this with redstone on top. Now I need to place a temporary block like this, a block on the top, and an observer next to this facing downwards like that. And you remove this block. Now you're going to grab your decoration block, which I have in my inventory. This needs to be a decoration block because this is actually going to be a part of your door itself. You need to place redstone dust on top of this. Or actually, let's just remove that. You need to place a repeater on top of this observer on 4-tick delay, like that. Now you're going to place your redstone dust underneath the observer so that you don't actually accidentally power any kinds of pistons that's going to create problems. Now next to this redstone dust, we need to place another of our blocks for the redstone. So this block is going to go to the side of this redstone dot like that. Another redstone block there, actually not redstone blocks, and another repeater set on 4 ticks. So this is one side of the door actually complete. So now you need to repeat this design and mirror it on the other side. But before actually, I forgot one thing, is that we need to also place our decoration blocks first. I think that should be a wise decision here. So if we place our decoration blocks going in the front and the back of our door blocks, that would be smart. Then yeah, so we need to place these blocks here all around in front and at the back of these door blocks. Perfect. Now for the other side, what you're going to do is you're going to mirror the exact thing on the other side. So what you're going to do is you're going to place an observer facing upwards with a block on its dot. We just know everything. I'm just going to show you how to make it. An observer going like this, two observers going out like this, an observer from this observer going upwards, and a block on top of its dot. From the back of this observer, you're going to take out another observer, it's going in that direction, and from this observer, you're going to take another observer, which is going to that piston. Next to this piston, this observer, you need to place another sticky piston, and one block away from this sticky piston, you're going to place an observer. Now you need to place a temporary block under the bottom of this dropper, and then you need to make two blocks going out of this block. Remove this one. Now you need to place two repeaters like this one on 1 tick and this one on 4 ticks. Now to the side of this block you need to place a dropper. From this dropper you need to crouch and then you need to place an observer going up and a block on the dot, covering the dot. Again, now you are coming onto the top part of this, so you need to place a block like this, and actually you need to first place an observer, but I think that does not really matter. We need to place an observer like that, which is going to power that piston, two observers coming out from it like this, an observer going down from that observer. It's really repetitive, right? That's going to be a block over there. From this observer towards the back, we are going to take another observer going out, and another which is going into this piston. There you go. On the side of this block, you need to place a block like this on the side of that piston. Now you need to place redstone dust, which is going to power both of those pistons. Next to this, you need to place a piston, a sticky piston there, and one block away from it, you're going to place another observer. Next to that observer, we know what to do. We need to place a block and we need to place redstone on top of it. You need to place a temporary block there, or actually now everything until now was completely the same. Now what we need to do is we don't need to place this block here. We need to place a temporary block like this over here and a block on top, and we can remove that one. We need to place a repeater on 4 ticks on top of this block. Now the difference here is that now you don't have to place redstone or observer or any kind of repeater on this side. So now where your redstone was, you need to just place a block like this. And now I think that we are definitely finished with the most complicated part of this box like structure. Now whatever you have built till now is not going to work because we have not placed any kind of activation system for this. You might have got frightened, right? That you built all of this, so much of hard work for nothing. Actually not. You need to make an activation system for this. So now what you're going to do is now you're going to place a block like this, which is one block from this redstone, that block which has a redstone on top of it. What you need to do is you need to place your lever on the side of this block. Now we are getting somewhere. So we need to place a repeater coming out of this block, set on 2 tick delay. Similarly, we need to place another redstone repeater on 2 tick delay right there. In the front of this repeater, you need to place a block. Next to this block, you need to place a sticky piston facing upwards. Now, on the top of this piston, you need to place 11 slime blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I need to concentrate on my counting. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 slime blocks. On this 11th slime block, you need to place your redstone block. So that's exactly 12 blocks. That's the maximum push limit for this piston, and we have actually pushed this piston to the limits. Now you need to place a temporary block on the top of this redstone block, and you need to place another sticky piston from this block facing towards this door. Now you need to remove this block here, and you need to place 2 slime blocks in the front of this piston here. You need to place a block of redstone right over there. Now you need to be very careful about this part because this can break some things. So what you actually need to do is that you need to remove the top half blocks like this, because for this step there might be some piston actions and observer firing. So we need to make sure that our blocks are not in the wrong places. So you need to remove these blocks, and what you need to do is you need to place redstone dust on top of these observers. That's going to fire lots of things. So I think I should have done that much earlier. Okay, that's created some problems there. Okay, what you need to do is actually, okay, one of these pistons must get offset like this. This one is alright. Now the piston which actually goes with the observer which actually went with the piston, you just move that. What you need to do is now you need to place it back in its original place. This design is actually quite fragile. If anything goes wrong, like those observers are the very, the deciders of the working of this piston door. So you need to make sure that the observers are always in the correct positions. So when this door is actually turned off, or actually the door is open, this observer should be 1 block away from that piston. And so now what we can do is now we can grab our decoration blocks back again, and now you can just replace your blocks back in their correct locations. And finally, we are finished with the making of this 4x4 piston door. Well, I know that there's some asymmetry with the placing of the activation systems. I just concentrated on the door mechanism more than the activation system itself. That is a bit of a derp, right? So let's test this design, and now we shall see when we flick this lever, the door will be closing. Excellent. And now when we just open this, it's going to be closing. Seems like we had another kind of a derp here, because I just realized that there were a few observers missing. I had made them in the original design right over there, but I forgot to put them here in the tutorial itself. So what you need to actually do to actually make this door work perfectly, you need to place these 2 observers facing upwards from those droppers. You need to crouch, and you need to place the observer facing upwards from that dropper. Now before we test this, we need to place these blocks back in their original position, and if we flick the lever for a final test, this door should close perfectly as before, and if we flick the lever again, it is going to open back again. Both these sides, like the right side and the left side, are perfectly in sync, but the top and bottom, I couldn't really bring them into sync, which was a problem for me, a really big headache, because I've been trying for a really long time to actually bring the top and the bottom halves in sync, and just couldn't make it. I just tried to adjust the repeater timings over there and some other timings, but still it did not work. So I finally gave up, and and we have arrived at the end of this tutorial. I hope you liked this design. If you did, please leave a like down for this video. Please suggest me some ideas for next redstone tutorials in the comments, and I'll be eagerly waiting for those, because I have already told you in my previous video that I'm running out of ideas. So please suggest me some things in the comments, and thanks for watching.